Slacktail Squad, assemble.
This is the Slaptail Squad, and I'm the Beaveman, and I'm still stuck in my fucking house. That's actually not true. I'm still working. And with me today, my number two, the Ronz.
That's so wrong on so many
You're
levels.
Two. What? You're number two. What's wrong with that? Being the number two.
That's okay. We'll let the audience decide what number two means.
It means you're the number two. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Would you have a problem with that? No.
Well, I would like number one, just like Jean-Luc Picard from Star Wars.
Oh yeah, we can do it that way. That's fine. If you want to go the Star Wars route, the next generation, that's fine with me. Also with us today is the young and talented RJ.
What's up?
How's it going? How are you enjoying the stay-at-home order, RJ?
Help me.
Help you?
Oh my God, what do you mean help? You wake up at 2. In fact, I listened to the last podcast, right? And my gosh, the way you guys picked on the Swan, it was relentless.
You should hear us on a regular basis.
I was just listening to her, and it's like, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing. And I'm like, oh my God. And even when she knew something, you guys like, it's not enough to know. You have to know more.
I think that's reasonable. Why is that? Are you saying that that's not reasonable?
I'm not saying anything. I just felt...
Because you don't want to be the next target?
I don't mind being the next target. But, it's like listening to the daughter and Sky. It's like, what do you do? Well, we're up by 11. We get something to eat, and we go back to our rooms. What do you mean, help me? You've been doing that. You wake up at 2, 3 in the afternoon, get something to eat, and then, okay, I'm going to go downstairs again. He's in college. Do you... how have your college courses been online?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in college.
Well, I mean, you never know.
No, that's true. You don't know. That is a fair point.
With the field that I'm going in with right now, the online courses, the way they do it, it sucks. In my opinion, it just sucks.
Well, because you need some hands-on work, though, too, right? That's why it sucks.
That's the point, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm working with automotive, and I want to get the feel of the vehicle. I want to know if something's wrong with it, and I just can't look at a 2D image and figure out, oh, the wiring on the very bottom's bad, because I can't see it.
Well, that should start opening things up for you realistically, if you think about it, because there's going to be times where this is necessary also. And what they did with, like, the medical field is instead of having, like, cadaver labs, they have 3D cadavers, 3D images for you to learn anatomy. So that's probably not too far beyond the realm of being able to do that also with the automotive, where you'd actually be able to point, click, and take something apart and put it back together.
Yeah. I remember seeing a report where they there was a heart surgeon doing something, and there was something wrong with the heart, but they couldn't figure it out, so they did a 3D rotation of it in a simulation, and they managed to pinpoint the problem or thereabouts. I'm like, okay, but without that kind of hardware to do that, they would have opened this guy's chest and explored it and probably did more damage than good, I think they said. Right. If I remember right. I could be wrong on that, though.
Yeah, well, for example, I have a very good anatomy program that came with one of the memberships that I have, and will show an area, and if I want to take away a certain muscle, I can click and pull that muscle away. It'll show me the underlying muscle, the tendons, the nerves, the blood. I can just keep pulling it away and build it
like
back.
Those old encyclopedias with the clear...
Right, the little layovers, the
layovers,
overlays.
Yeah, those were always so cool.
So right now, basically, they're just jumping through their ass for you, though, RJ. They don't have anything like that.
No, it was just a last minute spur of the moment, because this semester has been complete hell. First thing that happened is when I was doing electrical class, the professor got into a serious wreck and was critically injured into the hospital. He's okay now. He's recovering.
Why don't you tell our audience what type of accident he was in?
So he got stupid, and he went ultralight flying with his yeah, you can see where that went. And he
had a parachute. It's not an ultra light. It's a
Ultra
paraglider.
heavy.
No.
Same basic principle.
Yeah, same basic principle.
Same basic
Ultralight compared to what happened to him. Well, he had a parachute that had a tear in it. Now, with flying with one of those,
Still lift
the
capability.
smart thing to do would be to replace it.
Right.
No, he decides to sew it back up. And he recorded this. He records all his flights. So we watched the video, and
Oh shit.
we saw the camera jolt sideways for a second and then back into frame, and you heard him say, "Whoa, don't know what that was." And then the camera slowly starts spiraling down to the ground, and the camera aims down directly at a lake that is frozen.
Oh.
The camera cuts as after you hear like a "Whoa!" And afterwards we learned that he had crashed into the lake, and he tried to land on his feet but pancaked his heels. Then all that weight came forward, and his face hit the ice so hard it went through it.
Wow.
And yes, it broke his face.
Wow.
And since all his clothing was on there, the parachute and that giant motor and propeller were on him, that was weighing him down, and he was underwater for about a few minutes.
Wow, that's amazing.
If that guy who pulled him out or put his head over the water, because he was heavy, if that guy wasn't there, he would have been dead.
Oh, for sure. Interesting thing about that is that if you die, and not saying it would have been pretty obvious that this guy was dead when the paramedics got there. You know, if it had killed him. But say you have a regular cold weather injury, if they say they found you outside and you were frozen / dead, they can't pronounce you dead. They actually have to bring you in and warm up your body temperature to a point where they can pronounce you dead, because there's a possibility you could, quote, be living still with your body temperature super low.
Hypothermia. Now, RJ, what's this teacher's motto?
If you're gonna do something stupid, first off, video.
That's interesting.
And sure enough, he followed through with that.
And didn't you put that on a get well card for him?
I put something. I can't remember what, but it was something like something that definitely English. Something that reflected the smart ass in me.
Yeah, he's very lucky, because if you break the bones, you break the bones in your face, that's immediately swelling, which could close off his airway. Not a good thing.
That's not the only thing that broke. I think his spine, also got injured. I think it was something with his neck. His L, was it? No.
See?
I can't remember which one it was, but
either way, we know it's not good.
Yeah, either way, it was not good. They braced it, hoping it was healing naturally, and luckily it did. No surgery was needed there, but they had to put a plate in his face. Another one.
He's got one from before.
He has one from something.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I guess he can't even have that, what's the old axiom? I'd rather live hard and leave a good-looking corpse. He can't even do that.
No, not anymore. My gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's this common misnomer, too, that, if you've got a plate in a part of your body, it doesn't hurt that much if you get struck in that area. That is still not true. It's
really? I never knew that. But then again, I've never struck anybody who's got a plate in their head.
Well, just anywhere. You still have your soft tissue that's covering that plate, so it still freaking hurts. Like, I have a plate in my ankle. If that gets hit, it freaking hurts.
I would think if you got hit anywhere, it would freaking hurt.
Generally speaking, I guess.
I remember the time you kicked me in the throat.
Who did that?
You did.
Me? Sounds like
you did.
Yeah, so sorry I connected so late.
Let's move along from the child abuse segment of the show.
Yeah, sorry I connected so late, but what I started doing a couple of days ago is been working on my flexibility, and that adds like another 30 minutes to my workout. And I couldn't stop doing it because it's a very specific regimen that I have to do for this flexibility thing. And I've only been doing it 2 days, and I already feel more flexible, which is interesting.
What's your kicking range into?
Well, I don't know. That's the thing, is my kicking has been because I haven't done Tang Soo Do in 2 years, but I've stayed up on doing my forms and stuff, and a little bit of the kicking and everything. But I used to be able to kick pretty darn high, so it suffered quite a bit because I don't do it all the time now. I can still kick at chest level pretty easily, but that's about it. But I want to be able to. I want to be able to do. You know how those you always see those little images of like the little monk kids standing on like standing on logs, and they've got their legs way up at their head and they're
Yeah,
holding
but
their
you
leg
ever
up.
see what they go for that flexibility? Jesus.
No, I've seen blood sport. I know they
Oh,
have
okay.
those little
Well, that makes
contraptions.
you an expert right there. We're
They
looking at
pull their
blood
legs
sports right
apart
there.
with a pulley.
Yeah,
Is that what they
that
do?
you're right. That makes you an expert on everything in martial arts by watching blood sport. You are the man.
Yeah, interesting thing about that, watching blood sport as a kid and then watching it as an adult, you're like, wow, now I understand why not choreographed, what's the word for it? When they've got the people who design the fight scenes. Is it choreographed?
Yeah, they're basically a choreographer. Yeah.
What you don't
Stunt
realize
coordinator.
while you're watching that, and then you watch it as an adult, you're like, wow, they are punching and kicking super slow. That's why people are able to block it and you're able to see every single punch. But in a real fight, of course, it's not like that at all. It's
No.
super fast.
For the Matrix during the kung fu fight scene with Lawrence Fishburne and Keanu Reeves, they actually had to pull some of the punches because these guys were actually doing some of the motions and they were bruising each other up pretty bad. So
Now, the really cool thing about the Matrix,
That's
though,
cool.
is that none of them are martial artists, except for the guy who played Smith. So they weren't martial artists prior to. Keanu Reeves started becoming a martial artist after that movie. He didn't
yeah,
actually know.
he does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Well, he trained for it for John Wick as well, right?
Yeah. He primarily does kung fu, though, I think.
I'm not sure. I know. I'm
Let's
not
ask
sure.
let's ask our expert. Yeah, it's kung fu.
Oh well.
No, I don't know. Actually, I really don't know. I
Okay.
think that now would be a good time for me to say that this is my brief advertisement.
Hmm.
Do you like coffee?
I like
Ronz?
coffee.
RJ, do you
Love
drink
coffee.
Love coffee. I also like coffee. I like a good cup of coffee. I like a strong cup of coffee. I personally like to grind my own beans. They're not my own beans. I didn't make them. Just saying. Beans you buy. But if you don't have time for all that and you'd like to get some coffee, let me give a shout out to one of our listeners at Scars and Stripes Coffee. Her name is Carrie Beavers, and you can find her on Facebook at Scars and Stripes Coffee, Carrie Beavers. You can also find her on Instagram at @Carries_brew. The nice thing about Scars and Stripes Coffee is that these are veteran-owned businesses helping veterans, and of course, her lofty goal is to stop veteran suicide. That is a lofty goal.
That is a great goal, in fact.
It is a great goal. Too bad there's like 22 of them a day. We're losing them constantly, which is pretty horrible.
And on that personal note, if anybody needs to talk and about anything, you see me on the road, please stop, talk to me. I'm willing to listen.
Yeah, and offer him a ride because he shouldn't be on the road. Just
Yeah, don't play in the middle of the
He's
road.
probably lost. Needs to go somewhere. Yeah, he might be playing in the middle of the road. The other thing that I've been worried about a lot with the Ronz is, I don't know if you know this or not, RJ, but your father. Did we ever establish that that's your kid? I don't think we
We
did.
just did now. By
We
the way,
just-
when you know what, on that note, when you got onto Sky about saying the daughter's name, you're the one that said it first in the podcast. You didn't edit your name out of it, her name out of it.
Well, I didn't say her last name. He said her last name. That's what's edited out.
Oh, okay. Well, gee, it's not too hard to know that if you connect the dots here, listening to the podcast, she's your daughter with the same last name. Well, in
but nobody
today's
knows.
society, she could have a different name.
That is true. That's true also. What else was I saying? What was I saying?
Yeah.
Another thing that I have to say, that's your kid. Anyway, that's your kid.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this or not, RJ, but your father is an excellent podcaster.
Well, thank you.
My mother's been telling me that occasionally as I'm driving maniacally down the road.
Oh, okay. Well, the reason why, do you know why your father is an excellent podcaster, in my opinion?
In your opinion, I have no idea.
Okay, I'll tell you why, in my opinion. He can talk nonstop for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes.
I think the record so far is 4 minutes.
That I know.
I think the record is 4 minutes.
And if he's doing the podcast here in person, I think that at times he can see me start to glaze over, and he knows it's probably time for him to take a breath for me to say something.
Well, no. What I do is I read the situation, and now that I can see your face, and there is a little bit of delay, I can tell you when to back off or when not to back off. But if I'm just blank screen, I don't know when to back off. Like you said, the mic quit, and I just let you talk for a while. And I'm like, I thought you wanted me to continue.
Well, in your defense, though, that one day when you were talking just nonstop, I did not feel well at all. So I was like, I'm just going to let him talk. Just keep talking. That's fine.
And
The other thing is that he is a wealth of humor, whether it's intentional or not. Actually, when he tries to be funny,
He's not.
I mean, well, I don't know that he's not funny. It's just that when he tries to be funny, it's a little strained. He's funny just by himself. My worry, of course,
I think
is
I'm
the
funny
whole
by
social
myself
isolation.
too.
Yes. My worry is the whole social isolation thing, is that he's not going to be able to get out there and interact with people and tell me about these funny situations.
Well, speaking of which, I went out to South Haven just recently,
Oh.
right? Just to get out. And everybody's practicing social distancing. Thank you,
Really?
by the way.
All right.
What? Yeah,
Apparently
they
not
are
where I'm-
to a
apparently
point.
not where I'm going.
They are to a point. However, there are a couple of people out there fishing on the docks, or the piers, we'll call them. And my wife was out there listening, and this guy had this big boom box, really destroying the sound quality of the waves. And you just want to take in the ambience. This guy's out there with some music, and he's fishing. And I said, "Oh, who is that? I've never heard that before." And it was some old Led Zeppelin, but I couldn't figure out whether it was Led Zeppelin or another band. So I walked up to the guy and said, "I'll walk up to him." It's like, I said, "Excuse me, that sounds like Led Zeppelin, is it?" He's like, "Oh yeah." I said, "Oh yeah, yeah, okay. You seemed a little young for listening to that, so yeah." He's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just infuriated a redneck." Like, and I had to back away real quick.
Now let me ask this question.
Yeah.
These are my most favorite times with Ronz, when he relates some sort of a social situation. Is there any question based on that story, RJ, that you would like to ask your father based on that story? I mean, you live with your dad. You know your dad much better than I do, obviously. So you might not have all these questions in your head about the things that your dad does. That's why your dad is such a good podcaster. Is like he gets these social interactions, and I get to ask questions about it. Is there anything you would ask your dad related to that interaction?
Honestly, I have no idea, because that is the first time I've ever seen him get into a situation like that, and I have no response to that.
Okay, here's my question for you.
Okay.
Why did you feel the need to mention the person's age in relation to what they were listening to?
Just to make it sound like I wasn't a complete fool. Already, I could tell this guy was a little bit out there, but I still thought, I'm going to engage you intelligently and then crack a joke to break the ice and say, "Oh, it's okay. Yeah, you know what?" And 99% of the people are like, "Yeah, it's okay. It's cool." But you could just tell this guy, when I said that, he had this look like he'd been off his meds for a couple years. And I'm like,
all right.
I'm like, okay, maybe that wasn't the right time. In fact, Carrie shot me a look like you said something that probably pissed him off. The guy looked like where if you said hello, you were saying something wrong. Right? And I'm like, okay, you're fishing at a pier. People are going to want to interact with you because they want to see what you're fishing. It is one of those things. The other interaction I had.
Well, let's not leave this one yet. I just want to hear this one. I want to hear this one a little bit more.
Okay.
So you approached this guy based on the music that he was listening to.
Yeah, I did. I wholeheartedly
did. You think he looked a little bit out there before you spoke to him?
Oh, hell yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well then, so I guess my question is, why did you feel the need to then speak with him if you thought he was a little bit out there? I'm just curious. I just want to know. I want to know your thought process. That's
because I can handle myself in case something goes wrong, and what I don't want to walk away from a situation that I don't know an answer from. right? I just wanted to know what the
So you
music
had a
was.
general curiosity about the music.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did.
That's
I don't
fine.
listen to a whole lot of Led Zeppelin because, in my opinion, growing up, like Metallica these days, right? They get overplayed.
Sure.
I mean, that's, if you were listening to any metal station, it was Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, ZZ Top, right?
I think it's
I
actually pronounced Metallica.
Metallica.
Metallica. I never heard of that. Right?
Metal liquor.
Yeah. So it just got overplayed so much. I just got sick and tired of it. And now I'm a big
Okay.
Metallica fan. I really do like them, but every other song on the radio sometimes is like, oh, Metallica, right? And RJ is a huge Metallica fan, a huge Metallica fan. He's got rings, he's got merch from them, he loves them. I don't have a problem with that. I just don't want to listen to it 24/7. Carrie's a
Right.
big Kiss fan. I don't want to listen to Kiss 24/7.
Neither do I. I definitely don't listen to
Yeah.
24/7.
I listen to all
So
types
after
of
you
music.
said this to the guy,
Yeah.
then what did he say?
He just goes, "What do you mean? I'm old. I'm older, or something like that. That's the music I grew up on." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So you could tell that
And
he
then
wasn't.
what did you say? Did you say like cool tunes, bro, and walk away?
I said, "Okay," and that's it.
Or was there
Yeah,
just an awkward silence and then you walked away?
I kind of said okay and left it at that. Right, if I
Okay,
remember correctly.
that's fine. Just wondering.
No.
Also for the listeners, if you've tuned in to the Slaptail Squad, one of our shows on the Slaptail Nation, many times, there's a new drinking game that you can try. Are you aware of this new drinking game, Ronz?
I am not. What is this new drinking game?
If you want to get totally smashed listening to an episode of the Slaptail Squad, everybody, when they listen, should take a drink every time the Ron says right.
Oh my gosh.
You will get alcohol poisoning.
You
Well,
will.
are we going back to the
be
word
passed
like
out.
so?
It's funny
Are
is
we
that every time we talk about, and it's not your it's just me listening. I listened to one of the podcasts and you said right so many times. I was like, wow, that's really a lot of times to say right. So you substituted so and like for right. And it's clearly not your fault because all the experienced podcasters I listen to also say like a lot. And the other one that I listen to a lot, Mark Maron, very good podcaster, he's been doing this a lot. And that drives me up a fucking wall.
You give me specific rules to adhere by. I try to adhere by them, but I'm not always good.
I think it's great. It's a new option for people to have a drinking game during this time of social isolation and social distancing. If someone wants to get all their friends together and do a Zoom chat or a Skype call and listen to one of our podcasts and see how drunk everyone gets, I think that's just fine. You're providing service.
Disagree that. I don't want to be any reason why anybody has alcohol poisoning, as RJ mentioned, but I will try and limit my words so like and whatever word you think I need.
No, I really don't want you to. Just be you. Just be you. You're providing
Don't say that.
You're providing a service to those out there who are struggling with being sober.
I want you to change, but you be you. How is that going to work?
No, I said don't change. I said don't change. Don't change.
No, I understand that.
I was actually wondering what type of awkward situations you might be getting into in the home. For example, maybe speaking to the appliances, going up to the microwave.
Yeah, you mentioned
going up
that.
to the microwave and saying, "Hey, my microwave, come here often. I'm going to put my hand in you."
That's with the refrigerator. That gets kind of awkward when I'm like, "You'd like that banana inside you, wouldn't you?" So I slowly, I'm like, "Do you want something larger like an eggplant?" So I slide the eggplant in. "Oh, that's too big. Don't scream. Don't creak. I'll pull it out." I'm like, "Would you like a zucchini that's thin and long in you?" So I do that a couple times to alleviate the social.
Hey, microwave.
No. We don't want to bring the microwave into this.
I'm going to put this.
I'm going to
put this egg in you until it bursts.
No, that's a bit awkward. We don't want to bring the microwave.
Get hot.
There's a little bit of a jealous play there, right? So
you realize that there's a term for this, right?
What is it?
It's called Rule 34. Rule 34 of the internet.
What is the Rule 34 of the internet?
If it exists, there is porn of it. No
That's
exceptions.
Yep, he's right. He's right. There
I'm
probably
not
is.
saying he's wrong.
I'm not saying he's wrong either. I think that he's probably very accurate about that. You know
So
what?
then,
Speaking
if
of,
there
speaking
isn't-
of,
If there isn't, then Rule 35 comes into play.
And that's what rule?
create
If
it
it
so you
doesn't
can make money off
exist,
of it.
it will.
Rule 36, I guess, is if it doesn't exist, it will exist. Why don't you make it and make money off of it?
Yeah.
Fill a need, fill a void, etc.
So one of
What's
the
the
things
other? What's the other interaction that you had?
I was going to get to that, and it really
Oh.
wasn't an interaction by me. I wanted to see what was going on. I'll set it up. I wanted to see it happen, but it kind of pulled Carrie and I away from the situation because I didn't want it to blow up. And after listening to the news this morning, I'm afraid that's the way it was going to go. So we were at a local dollar store, we'll say, we won't plug the name. And on the door, it says you have to have a mask to come in, right? And they're not really picky in what your mask looks like or how you make it. You just have to have your face covered. So we got a couple of bandanas with hair ties, kind of makeshift, right? Went on the internet, learned how to do it. So I keep one in the car at all times, or whenever we go out, we keep them. So as we're going up to this, as we pull into the parking lot, it says mask, you have to have a mask to come into the store. No problem. I completely understand that. So I walk in, we're going in, we're in the back aisles. All of a sudden, someone comes in, and the store manager is yelling this out loud so everybody can hear it. If you don't have a mask on, I can't sell it. I can't sell any of the products that we have. If you have a mask on, you're okay. If you need to buy something for the mask, we can sell you one right away. Then you can put it on and walk around, right? So someone comes in, she starts to repeat this, no problem. And the young lady, because it was a young lady that shouted back, says, "What if I don't have a mask on?" And she said, "I cannot sell you anything. You'll have to leave the store." So are you going to call the police on me? It's like, no, I just can't sell you anything. It's like, so I can be in the store then. No, ma'am, I can't have you in the store.
That is
So
loitering.
So are you going to call the police on me? No, ma'am. If I have to, I guess I will, but I can't have you in the store. I can't let you purchase anything, right? Walk around the store without a mask on. Started to turn into a shitstorm. She started to yell. The customer did. The
Which is
lady,
even better because now you're spreading your spittle all over the fucking place.
then the store manager yells back, "Then you need to fucking leave."
Nice.
Right? Yeah, you need to leave the store right now.
Did he say fucking?
I think she might have. I think she had composure up until the lady got loud with her.
Well,
She
in
really
the
did.
interest of the story, I'm going to say that she said you need to fucking leave. That was
Right.
awesome.
So
So
what happened was the lady started to escalate the attitude. And I'm listening to this, and Carrie's listening to this, and we're like, all right, how do we work our way up to the front to see what's going on without drawing attention to us? Because I really want to see how this is going to handle. Now, the woman.
did you hitch up your belt at that time? Did you like lock it into one more notch?
No,
Just
I
in
did
case.
not. I don't know what that means, but no, I did not.
You got a belt. It's got
Uh-huh.
holes in it. And did you tighten it down one more notch so that your pants would stay up in case you need to get some action? Tuck your shirt in, make sure it's all good.
Oh, okay, I understand now. No, I did not.
Oh, just a second.
So anyway, after this is all said and done, you hear one of the store employees, "Well, if she touches me, I was gonna body slam her." Dude, once again, I'm maintaining my composure because I'm thinking, you're not gonna do shit. So the store manager comes out of her office. I guess she went into her office. She came out, says, 911 is your best defense. People won't comply, call 911. And I have to agree with her. She had to deal with an irate customer who didn't want to comply to the quarantine status. Nothing says you could be in the store. You just had to have a mask on. That's all it was. So with that said, and on a tragic note this morning, I'm sorry, I was watching the news. Another dollar store will say, approach the customer telling the person, you cannot be in the store without a mask on. You need to leave, come back with a mask on. It'll be okay. But I guess there was some sort of escalation, verbal escalation. She came back out. And if I'm remembering correctly, now don't quote me on this. Once again, when I say that, I could be wrong. Her husband and son came in and shot the security guard that was there. It's local news. So people are fucking getting stupid, right? If you can't afford a mask, I will rip my damn shirt off and make
No, please don't do that. That'd be
Right.
unnecessary.
But, you know,
Well, people are making the wrong stand about the wrong issue. You don't want to wear a mask? Don't go into the store. That's all there is to it.
yeah, but if you
And
need
the
to,
thing is, the thing is that the what the recommendation is, or what the order was, is that you have to wear a mask, social distancing. If you're not able to wear a mask, it should be for a medical reason. Some people can't tolerate a mask. I have patients who are, who have chronic obstructive pulmonary disorders like chronic emphysema, and they get really short of breath when they put a mask on. And they still try to put it on. So if you can't wear a mask, but those people are trying really hard to wear one, you should fucking wear a mask. But don't take a stand that's unnecessary. If you don't want to
I
wear a
agree.
mask, if you don't want to wear a mask, you don't need to go into that establishment. That establishment has every right to say, you know what, I know what the governor's order is, but our order is saying we can make it more specific if we want to. You just don't have to shop here.
Well,
That's all there is to it.
the store manager said, this is not my rule. This is coming down from corporate, which I completely understood, right? And I think, RJ, you and your mom went out to a gas station to fill up the vehicle, and they had the same type of rule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
So you
well as now Meyer has that rule.
Mhm. So local establishments have it. So that's annoying. And then on top of that, as long as I'm on a rampage here on
Please do.
stupidity,
Yes, please do. Please rampage on.
right? One of my rants is what happened on the state capitol, where these people go, we're in lockdown. Yet some of these assholes did not have masks on out in public, right? I don't care if you protest. That's your right to protest. You and yeah, I agree. Right. You and I were both in the military, the Constitution, all that shit. I completely understand that. But if you're going to protest, do it sensibly, right? Because this is how blown it got out of proportion.
Mm-hmm.
A right to carry arms, right? Completely, if you're completely understandable. But I read a British news headline. Armed people stormed Michigan State Capitol. Now you take that headline,
right,
and there was, I saw weapons, right? Yeah. Who are you doing that to?
You keep saying right, so I'm getting drunk.
Oh crap! I thought you were talking to Sky or
It begins.
Swan. It begins. However, what I was saying was, you have a constitutional right, there you go, to bear arms. And well, if you're legally within your rights, it's great. But the way the rest of the world saw it, people are leaving out bits and pieces of information. We're a bunch of Neanderthals now, and it's just going to be so much fun when everybody clears them out. When this virus clears out more stupidity, if it does.
Well, that's what I'm hoping will happen, but I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Why
I think
that?
the equal amount of people who are following precautions are going to get sick as well, and an equal amount of healthcare providers and people who have to work every day and their families are going to get sick. For example, I'm pretty sure that, I've already had a bunch of patients with it. Some of them have done pretty well, and some of them have been sick for over 3 to 4 weeks. I've been exposed to all of them. I haven't manifested any symptoms, so maybe I'm lucky, maybe I've had it, maybe I've got some minor symptoms. But the other thing is, do I want to go around my parents who are in their late 70s? No, because if I have it, maybe I could give it to them. I might not be manifesting any symptoms. So all these people out there that are running around, they could be carriers and not manifesting any symptoms, and then they go home and they visit their mom or whatever, and mom dies. And then they're blaming the government because they didn't have a good enough response to the coronavirus.
That's
which
what I
is worse.
find. That's what I find so ironic is that people are saying during this lockdown we need to get rid of the lockdown, but the minute someone dies in their family, right, they're going to blame somebody in the government.
Sure.
One of my brothers actually has COVID, right? Him and his wife, and they're in lockdown or quarantine, we'll call it that. But they have a Down syndrome daughter, and she's away though. She's safe.
Sure.
And then I have my sister. One of my sisters is mentally handicapped, but she can't go out in public. So having these people in lockdown, and I hate to call it that, I really do, because it's self-imposed lockdown, because nothing in the world says you can't get out. There has
Right.
been no enforcement of this rule that, of staying in, right? It's by your own volition that you stay in, right? I've seen people out. I'm one of them. I've gone hiking. I've gone geocaching. I've gone, I've done yard work. I've talked to neighbors, all within the social distancing. Nothing has really changed for me other than the place where I work out at, right?
Yeah, me too. Right.
And I don't see what these people see. I don't.
Well, what you're doing, I think that what you're doing is totally reasonable. It's not like you're going, for example, when I drive home, I have an hour drive basically from where I work to where I live. Where I work is in a town, and as I drive through the town, they have basically a root beer stand, where you order your stuff in your car and they bring it to you.
One of RJ's favorite
That
spots.
place, that place was completely packed with people, and to include tons of people out on their motorcycles. There were so many people there. None of them were wearing masks. They were all hanging out with each other. I saw tons of kids in town walking together in groups of 4 or 5, none of them wearing masks, kids with little kids outside playing, and just in general ignoring everything.
I
And
saw that down at South
they're
Haven
going to be
too.
the ones. They're going to be the ones who come here, who come to the office and be like, "I'm sick." Okay, well, have you been out doing all this other crap? Yeah, because everybody. I have this actual belief. Here's the belief that I have: the people that protest the most are of one of two things: either they are completely fucking stupid, or they are actually terrified and they believe that if they protest it and in their mind it will actually go away. That's what they believe.
I can't say I didn't see that down at South Haven because Carrie loves to pet the dogs. She really does. And people are real friendly down there. They'll let you pet their dogs. There was one dog on a leash that came up to Carrie. There was that 6-foot distance. But I did see people, when you get to the edge of the pier, people like to group up together. However, I've noticed that when we were down at the pier, though, people would group up and then they would realize they're not within that social distancing and back away real quick, right? So there was that cognitive spatial area that they were doing. However,
there's also this really bizarre belief out there. Have you heard this one? That because we now believe that the hospitals are now prepared to take large amounts of patients, that we can go back to normal because now that it's not.
I haven't heard that at all.
Now it's not a new thing. They're all prepared and they know what to expect, and so we can just go back to life as normal.
I haven't heard that at all.
Which is not the dumbest fucking thing I've heard. I've heard lots of dumb fucking things, but that's a really stupid fucking idea.
I haven't heard that at all, but you know what? One of the stupidest facts I heard, and it was, why don't we have enough face masks and gowns? Have you figured that out yet?
Why we don't?
Yeah.
It's because the majority of them are made in China.
No, that's not the reason, right? And one would think that. However, Carrie actually...
Well, that's what they keep telling us. That's what they keep telling us.
No. Carrie Googled this, right?
Oh, it must be true.
Yeah, it must be true, because if it's on the internet, it must be true. It's because our beloved president sent over, hold on, I'll punch it up, sent over 88 tons or 80 tons of medical gear over to China. Now, I let me check that fact out to make sure, right? And I'll punch that up. Well, what's your take on the coronavirus, RJ? I mean, you've been home for the last month. What do you think of it?
Well, John hit on a point that I was actually thinking the same thing of thinning out the stupid. The people that have gotten together in parties and whatnot, especially that one guy who was like, fuck everything. I'm just going to go outside. I'm going to do what I want. He caught it and he's probably dead. What do you think was going to happen? What did you, in your walnut-sized fucking brain, think what was going to happen? Did you think, oh, la-di-da-di-da, rainbows and sunshines up the ass? No, you got it. You died. The end.
You can tell he's been listening to a lot of metal. The swearing's coming through.
Well, I mean, I agree with that. But here's what I'm afraid will happen is I'm afraid, and this is true, is that there's no such thing as survival of the fittest. That doesn't exist. It's completely the opposite. If society was based on survival of the fittest and that was the case, then it would be great. But that's not the truth because we keep people alive who are not fit, and we do everything in our power to keep people alive. So it's not survival of the fittest. My fear is that all of those dumb fucks will inherit the earth and the rest of us will die off. So even though we're the fittest, we're going to die off because we're going to be the ones taking care of them and doing what is considered humane to save them. Now, what other people don't understand, which is why I don't understand why they're so fucking stupid about this whole thing, is there's no treatment for this condition. And when they post the numbers of, oh, well, this is a snapshot of if you just used 100 people. Well, let's say out of 100 people, 4 people get the condition, and 1 of them dies, and 3 of them recovers. So when you show it like that as an example, that makes people think it's not that bad. Well, what they don't tell you is maybe 1 person died, 3 people recovered, but maybe 2 or 1 out of those 3 people were sick for 5 weeks and now have a clotting disorder or have had a stroke or have had a heart attack and have all these chronic conditions that they didn't have before they had this condition. We're seeing there's a lot of reports that people are having strokes from this because this particular condition makes your blood not work quite right. So you're more likely to develop a blood clot or to have some sort of a coagulopathy in general.
So
it's all false bullshit. It's all saying that, oh, yeah, there's
Okay.
lots of people that get it and do fine. Yeah, there is. But there's also lots of people that get sick and recover. And like, oh, so it's not a big deal. I'm like, when you consider being sick for 5 weeks, not a big deal, where you feel like you can't breathe, I don't consider that not a big deal. But they consider that a recovered person.
See, I would have never got that. So back to what I was saying is, did the Trump administration send 18 tons of PPE, personal protection equipment, to China in early 2020? True. The U.S. facilitated the sending of nearly 17.8 tons of donated medical supplies to China to combat the spread of the novel coronavirus in early 2020. So there you go. When you send that much material over, you were going to have a shortage because you blew off the warning signs. I mean, that's bullshit.
Well, but part of that is, where were those supplies made, though?
It doesn't.
They were no, but they were probably still. Here's the thing: is they were probably still made in China. They were ours. He sent them over there. That's fine. Whatever. That was a stupid move. But the reason why we also don't have masks is because they shut down a bunch of the factories producing the masks. The majority of our masks are made in China.
Oh, I agree with that.
The majority of our PPE is made in China. So if those factories were not up and running, all of our stuff was on back order.
I agree, but you don't send your surplus over.
No, I agree with that too. Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, that's one of those idiot motions. It's I couldn't understand that, and it's like in the medical field, right? I just don't understand that. Wait a minute, I said the medical field. I didn't say the word right, but now I did.
Do you want me to play it back for you?
By the way, also, speaking, I think I mentioned this earlier. I want to thank you for actually bringing my podcast to life, my pitch idea. Thank you. Right?
I brought your podcast idea, pitch to life. How did I do that?
Because when the last podcast you did with your with the Swan, and of course, right, that was my thing. When I said let's gather people, the pitch idea was let's gather people. About, the day of the life of a podcaster, you got your outside characters and they come in and do that. You're like, oh, that's a bullshit idea, right? And because you go back.
Oh, I didn't say that was a bullshit idea. I said that I think that Zach Braff already has a show where he gave up his job to be a podcaster. I'm like, it's sort of like, no, I didn't say your idea was a bullshit idea.
Okay, yeah, you're right. But
you had a partial idea that we all worked on to make an actual idea. We're like, can you elaborate? You're like, well, it's a podcast, it's a show, and there's podcasts.
You know what? I forgot about the Zach Braff idea. I really did. It bombed, and now I can see why this bombed. I saw that, and may I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
Go easy on the Swan. She's not the brightest person in the world sometimes, to you. Right? But I think she's an intelligent person.
You just said this. You're like, the Swan's not the brightest person in the world. Wow, really? You just said that.
I know I'm going to hear from it. I know she's going to get me. But I think the way you guys just picked on her because I wasn't there to take the brunt of it, I just felt sorry for her because it's like, okay, who plays on The Office? Who plays on The Office? No, you can't say that. We said that, right? And by the way, I want to say this. Office Space was a hell of a good movie.
Yes, it was.
I love the villain.
It's a great movie.
I love that.
Well, if you think about it, if you listen to our podcast, the point is we were making fun of her for not being a nerd, not understanding our nerd shows that we watch. So is that really an insult? It's only an insult to, I guess, a nerd population, or a references
once again,
to
keep in mind because keep in mind, and I didn't want to overtalk you, but I could read your face because we're on Skype now, and I could see you trying to grasp at straws now. I really can't.
No, I'm not grasping at straws. I'm not grasping at straws. I'm trying not to repeat my words and say like and go and say right.
And so.
No, it's not like we were talking about the War of 1812 and she wasn't aware of a specific battle. It's just that she's not a geek. She was a jock and a very intelligent person, whereas opposed to myself, who is just a geek and a nerd.
Same here.
So we're making fun of her in reference to classic comedies or classic sitcoms because she doesn't know anything about them. That just means that she doesn't sit around and watch fucking TV all day. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's only an insult from some other geeks inside the house. Unfortunately, my children have adapted a lot of my own personal behaviors. So I guess
after listening to that, I would totally agree with that. I really would. Right? And take a drink. Yeah, I would agree with that.
If you look at the daughter, she's so much like me. It's pretty crazy. She's like an amplified version of me.
I would say she's a lot more outgoing than you.
Oh, well, no, yeah, that part is totally different. But I'm talking about from a sarcasm standpoint and her comedy level. And she cracks herself up and all that other stuff. That she's a lot like me in that respect. But no,
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
You can't run across too many people that are not more outgoing than I am. That's very common.
And you got Sky, who's just very quiet, right?
He's very loud, actually. He's very outgoing. He just has to get he's got to get in the zone. Also, he's a podcast.
Yeah, whenever I was with him, he was quiet, but I like how your children conspired against you to get noodles and food, and Sky was the sane one saying, "We're gonna get caught."
He probably just didn't want noodles. He probably wanted something else.
He wants pizza.
Dude,
yeah,
pizza.
Of course he does.
Yeah,
of course he does.
That's RJ's favorite food, pizza.
I can survive off of that shit.
If you could vary the pizza that you got per day, sure, I could see that. Well, aren't the pizza companies making a big push now to get people to try to order pizza and telling you how to take your stuff out of the box so that you don't have to worry about the risk of contaminating, getting the virus? I heard something about that.
Yeah, I guess so. I know Taco Bell was doing a free taco day. I thought on Tuesdays.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday. Well, I have T-Mobile, so I get a free taco every Tuesday if I want one.
What's today?
Really?
That reminds me. Oh, today's Tuesday. Yeah, we
Yeah,
might be doing it today.
No, because some states are coming out of quarantine.
Oh.
Right.
That's
This is what I want to see. I want to see the states that come out of quarantine. I want to see how bad they'll be in 2 weeks. That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
that's on what the numbers are going to be.
That's a great social experiment. But you're talking Animal Farm there.
Well, and that's why I think that it was a good idea that the governor of Michigan extended the stay at home.
You mean
You
it
know,
wasn't
sit
to
back.
extend her grasp of power of controlling everybody?
No, I don't think so. I think that it was a wise move. I think it was a wise move on her part.
I do
To,
too, but
to
the
see-
way they made it sound is like when they got up there on the Capitol, they're taking our go ahead do they took our job voice, RJ. Go ahead, do that.
They took her job.
They took our rights. And you know what? Yeah, in this lockdown, what rights have they taken away from anybody?
None. There's no rights. You haven't had any rights taken away from you. There's been recommendations, and there's some things that you can't sell, and some things you can't buy, or some things you can't buy. There
Now, what
was
can't you
recommendation.
buy?
I mean, there was recommendations, or they said that you couldn't go to your home, your cabin up north, or you couldn't be boating. I totally understand that. To me, that makes sense. If you go from most people who have a cabin up north or up where is usually in a rural area with a small population. You
I
come from
agree.
this population. You come from this population where you're at, where it has more people. You have a higher likelihood of contracting the virus.
That was
You
even a
just took
new.
it, and you just took it up, and you just took it up
Yeah.
north. Just took it
There
with
was a
you.
news thing up north that I think it was the local mayor says, we don't want you up north. We don't have the facilities to take care of you if you get sick.
No.
Stay away from us. And I'm like that. The only problem, I talked to one of my sisters who said the only thing that she couldn't buy was ammo at Wally World. So she actually went to another place and bought the ammo. And she says, I'll be damned if they're going to take away my constitutional right to buy ammunition. And I'm like, no, I think that was store
Walmart's
policy.
idea. Yeah, that's Walmart's idea, not
Yeah.
not the state policy. No, I thought it was funny that the stuff that was left open that was essential were things like smoke shops and liquor shops, liquor stores also. And I can see the point of that. They tried to justify it by saying, well, some people live in an area where they have to walk somewhere and they have food available at liquor stores, so some people will walk to the
that I
liquor
agree
store
with.
to get food. And I agree with that, but I don't. From my standpoint, I don't think that's really why it was wise to leave them open. It was wise to leave them open because there's so many alcoholics out there. If you take away their ability to drink, you can kill them. So that's not that's not good.
Wow. So what you're saying is keep society drunk and stupid?
Well, no, but if you have somebody who drinks every single day and you take away their ability to buy alcohol, their body goes through delirium tremens and that can kill them. It's not a good thing. That is why people can't just stop. If they're true alcoholics, they can't just stop drinking alcohol without the assistance of medical people. They can die.
Okay, so explain the smokehouses then.
Smokehouses, I have no idea when they get those open.
Maybe they sell bags of chips, so that's
marijuana
food.
shop. Same thing, maybe it's because they've got food there. Nobody's going to die if they don't smoke a cigarette. It's not the same thing as alcohol. Now we have legalized social recreational marijuana. I guess they can justify saying the same thing. They sell stuff there that's consumables, and they have people with they've got people with cancer pain or people with chronic pain or chronic migraines that use the marijuana. So I guess you can justify leaving that open also. But
okay.
Why they say that they left it open. I'm like, yeah, I can understand why you're saying you left it open, but the real reason why it was a wise choice to leave the liquor stores open is completely different. That's a matter of life. That is a matter of life and death to some people, unfortunately, until they decide to stop drinking.
I hadn't considered that.
At that point, you should really rethink your life choices and get your life back on track at that point.
Yes, you should, but that doesn't generally happen. It's a scary thing to see somebody who drinks a lot of alcohol and decides to stop, and they come in to see you and they're a mess. You're like, oh. Well,
next thing you know, they're doing a podcast over Skype. We don't want that to happen to any other people out there. No.
Hey, there's a good thing to have choices. A good thing to have choices.
It is. So, with that said, what's the next big pandemic after? Because they're actually closing in on shutting the coronavirus down. I mean, there was something in the news that attacks the protein or something that shuts it down. But it's only a matter of time before something deadlier pops up. So, what's the next big thing?
I still maintain it will be a type of flu.
Okay.
It's really scary to think that they've already discovered a second strain of COVID-19, showing that it's already evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, that would not be, and that's not abnormal. If you look at all the different strains of, how every year we have a seasonal flu, it's not the same flu we had last year. They have classifications, and that's why they give it a little number. You've got type A and type B, but it's type A ZXPQ12, and type B, ampersand, at sign, little box, squiggly emoji. So it wouldn't be abnormal for anything to mutate a little bit. It will still be SARS-CoV-2, but it'll have like its own little classification.
It sounds like a great password.
The downside, I mean, the bad thing about the SARS-CoV-2 virus is that it's just very highly communicable. So you have a good chance of contracting it if you're in somebody's face or spend any time with them in a short duration of time in a close proximity. It's not like, I mean, the flu's pretty contractible, but this seems to be way worse than that. I still maintain that the next pandemic will be a super flu that we can't do anything about. Viruses are very hard to treat. That's just the bottom line.
Just use malware bites. It's easy.
What's that?
No,
I said viruses aren't easy to treat. Just use malware bites. It's fine.
It's a computer program.
Gotcha. And it's my understanding that you just ingest large amounts of household cleaners.
Oh, that's jeez. And for anybody listening to this podcast, please don't do that.
Yeah,
please
don't be one of those idiots that ate Tide Pods.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who did that. I don't know anybody who's done anything that stupid, but there's always someone out there going, "Hey, watch what I can do now."
And that's sort of the last famous words.
Well, and again, that's why I said that the whole idea of survival of the fittest doesn't exist, because what happens is you have someone who should have died off, and they do something like that, and what happens? They go to the hospital and they save them. Like, I feel like they probably should have just died off. I feel like that gene pool should end now.
The Darwinism Awards are out there. Have you read those yet?
Have you ever heard of those? They used to have
Awards.
They used to have what was it? A movie for it too. Back in the day on VHS. Stupid Ways to Die, or what was it? Faces of Death.
1,000 Ways to Die, or something. Yeah. Faces of Death is one thing. I remember watching that, but they did have a show for that. That was one of those things.
90s.
Yeah.
I think it was earlier than that. It might have been the 80s. I think it was the 80s.
Faces of Death. Oh yeah, that's early 80s,
maybe late 70s.
When was that? 1978. My gosh, that one that came out.
Yeah.
But we have, and there's a game out there that actually can simulate something that the COVID-19 has done. It's called Plague Inc. And there have been jokes about this already, but I won't go over the jokes. You can put it, let's say, in Wuhan, China, Wuhan City, and you can see how it spreads and if the world tries to fight back against it. And then if you decide to show symptoms or not. And then it slowly starts to kill off the population. And you win the game by killing off the entire human population, and mankind goes extinct.
Yay!
Always.
At certain times in the universe looks at us and says, yeah, you know what, let's just kill that off. It's the difference between a gene pool and an entire race, an entire species. You're like, yeah, maybe they just need to go. Are they contributing?
Just chuck a rock at them.
This is, what's really crazy is I'm all about I've always believed in aliens, and they've released that video footage and nobody seems to give a shit.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, we know it's out there.
We know it's out there, but why isn't there hype about that? Who's not excited and or petrified by that? Like, shouldn't we be excited about that instead of everything else? Why isn't that major news?
Well, maybe they're watching, see how we handle ourselves, because if we beat this, they're like, okay, they're smart enough for contact. We'll let them look at us. That's about it. That's about it. You can look, you can't touch. And then if we're smart enough to beat this, we'll go from there. But if we're not smart enough to beat this and we're still stupid, they're like, we're just moving on to the next real estate. That's the way
I honestly fully believe that aliens come here because it's a pretty planet and they vacation and take off. They don't want to interact with us at all because it is basically like if we went to a planet that was occupied by, I don't know,
Morons.
dodo birds.
Mhm.
We're like, well, we don't have to interact with them at all. We're just it's a pretty planet. Let's vacation. Let's do our thing. Let's just do a flyby. Let's go check it out. It's a blue, pretty planet. We're too dumb for them to want to interact with us.
Or maybe we're just too smart for them, and they're the ones that got away from the COVID. They're like,
If we're too smart for them, we should have been at Mars by now.
we are
we
not
at
too.
Mars.
We are not we cannot be the smartest in the galaxy. There's no way. We can't be the smart. We're definitely not the smartest in the universe.
I think we're the
probably
smart ones in this galaxy right now. I really do, because no one else has come around to knock us off our throne.
Yeah.
I mean, yet. And when someone does, then we'll know. By the way, what's our place for out in what we need to hit 300 or something, or 400?
Oh, we hit 300 plays that week. What I do is I get a 7-day average, and we did really well. Our 30-day average was over 1,000 plays.
Awesome.
And of course,
Awesome.
The goal is obviously like 10,000 plays a day, which would be great. And as I've said before, the caveat is when I track stats, the stats are on SoundCloud. I don't know how many people are listening on like the Apple Podcast app or Podchaser or on Spotify. You can listen to our podcast on pretty much any app where you can listen to it, get links from it off of our website, which is slaptailnation.com.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
and
pretty
on
easy.
Facebook, please. If you're on Slap Nation, slaptailnation.com, by the way, please hit the like, subscribe button at the top, or send us an email. I did test it out. Everything seems to work. All right. And it's a lot of, I said, geez. Okay. What word did I screw
You don't
up?
even know that you're saying it. You don't even know you're saying it. That's what's funny.
Yeah, so what? See, take a drink. There we go. But now you got me all thinking about it. The
Contact
one thing
you on the website.
Yeah, click like, subscribe on the website. The website's still a work in progress. We're trying to get that big splash screen down without wiping everything out. Because you come in, then you got to scroll down, and you mentioned that I got too much stuff on the front. I don't think I have enough, but okay. Then I noticed at the bottom it does another podcast or another blog part. It's a blog post.
I would say the bottom line is you're doing a really good job. This is not your profession, manipulating a website. So you're doing an awesome job.
It used to be.
A thousand times better than I could do.
I used to code.
Let's give credit where credit is due.
I used to code HTML back in the day. I did a blog where I did the code. I'll say, I can't think of the word, but it was a lot simpler. Now this is a little bit more complex.
It seems like it'd be easier. I think that you're just overthinking it because it's made for dummies now, and you're thinking such.
What are you saying about me then?
I think that you're smarter than the program. This is made for people like me who could just do it.
Well, you're talking about click and drag, and I think
that you overthink it. I think you overthink it.
There's a little bit more in depth on that.
You're expecting it to be more.
And then, of course, I appreciate the liberty of you letting me do things.
Well, yeah, I don't want to fucking do it.
What's that?
I don't want to fucking do it.
Well,
that's why you're number one.
Oh, number one now.
Numero uno.
But you're actually
make it so.
Yeah, make it so. You're actually letting me take a lot of liberties with it. Sort of like the letter that you guys got. And I was listening to that, and I'm like, the banner I came up with, and I thought, what would capsulize the podcast? And it's like, what color are you in your reflection? And I thought that, because you talk about being Hispanic, and I'm like, and I'll throw some Hispanic words at you, and you're like, I don't understand what you're saying. Like churro, taco, te amo, right?
I know what those are.
Sure you do. Listen, you don't have to play dumb, right? Right. And, you allow me to have a little bit of liberty with that, so I appreciate it. This is a great opportunity for me to have fun. So
That's good. That's what I want. That's why it's here. It's all about you. It's all about you.
yeah. Did you read the Facebook blurb, by the way?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
You gave credit to yourself. You gave
I
credit to
did.
yourself.
I thought I'd do that just because I thought I deserved it. No, it's everybody behind the scenes that's working on it. So I'd like to get Skylar and RJ together eventually. That way they could do music, and then we could criticize that.
Sure, yeah. Well, that's not Skylar does that for fun. He for sure doesn't think that that's anything that he's good at. He just does it for fun.
I'm the same way here. I just do it because I say, why not? Fuck it, I'll do this.
Yeah, and Skylar's different from RJ because Skylar's not a musician. I mean, he doesn't play. None of that stuff is him playing. That's all other people. He's a good rapper, but I don't know that he's gonna make much of a living being a rapper, getting all chubby and whatnot.
Being a SoundCloud rapper, as like everybody else in middle school said they were gonna be.
Yeah. Well, with at least with him, you've got to either you got to drop 25 pounds or you need to gain 100. You got to go one way or the other. You know what I mean?
Drop 25 pounds or 25 songs.
So is his rapper name going to be Biggie Snowflake?
I don't think so. I do not think so. I don't think he's going to have a rapper name. I think it's just Skylar. Somehow we lost. Somehow Ronz must keep playing with the video feed because he pops off and on, and I'll get him sometimes, and sometimes I don't, and split screen and all that other stuff. He's still playing with it, I think. Are you still playing with it?
No, I'm not. No, not at all. In fact, you freeze up a little. Your audio comes in and out. I mean, RJ's pretty much steady. You're steady. I've got all three of us. I've got a small screen of you and a larger screen, a split screen of you and RJ. So everything's cool.
Yeah, I don't see you anymore, but that's fine. I don't need to see it. Cool.
We recently got this system up here hardwired into the router since it used to be on Wi-Fi, and so far I'm doing all right. I'm doing about 70, 80 megabits per second, while he's doing about 115 megabits per second.
And here he's on Wi-Fi, so he's not wired in.
No, I'm not.
No, he is.
Oh, he is?
Beaveman, yeah. Don't laugh at him. Don't laugh. Don't laugh at the inferior people. You don't know if they're carrying.
Well, usually I am, but not right. Not this second. Not this second. It's not going to reach through. Yeah, that was one of the other things I want to talk about here in the last few minutes before we wrap up.
Okay.
There are some pictures on the internet of people in Michigan screaming in the face of cops that are wearing masks. Really in their face. I don't know how these cops are just not beating the fuck out of people, because honestly, that is the definition of assault. It's not battery. It's the definition of assault. Assault meaning the perceived threat or of harm.
Look at the mob mentality. No, I agree with what you're saying.
How are they just not beating the fuck out of them? If you were in, here's the example I used. When I was in Germany, the cops there, the Polizei. If you mouthed off to a cop in Germany, they would beat the ever-loving fuck out of you and throw you in jail.
Same way with Italy, right? When I went down to Italy, you were given.
I really don't have much of a problem with that if it's justified. It's not like you said, "Hey, pig." No, if somebody's in your face yelling and screaming at you, and you're not wearing a mask, and there's a threat, basically there's a threat of contracting an illness, and there's a perceived threat. Why don't they just beat the fuck out of these people? I don't get it.
Because people will call police brutality faster than you can do anything in the world. They will tape it, and they will say, "Look at this man, look at this police officer beating an innocent man," when you don't know half the story. And that video will go viral, and people will follow, like you said, the mob mentality, and they'll join the wrong side.
Yeah, exactly where I was going with that. We don't see the other half. Now, cops, and when you were training as a medic, and me, we're going to bring military stuff into this, right? And we'll bring in martial arts.
Just clarify. I did not train as a medic. I was an infantry paratrooper.
Yeah, okay.
One saves lives. The other is only trained to kill people.
Right. But bringing in back your background in martial arts, RJ's background in martial arts, mine too, is that we go into a certain situation, we assess it, and we don't necessarily get into a fight. We don't let our emotions get the better of us. If we do, then we're going to lose. As I often say, right? If I let you get me angry, you win the game. The calmer you are, and you can be angry on the inside, let me put it that way, but the calmer you are, the more you're going to scare the hell out of that person, no matter whether
Oh
you're
yeah,
yelling at me.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So,
I also agree with you should be angry on the inside.
oh yeah.
I would
But
not be a Jedi. Jedis are useless. There's no point.
no, I don't think they're
I would
useless.
definitely go with the anger route and just kill people.
However, with these cops, right, and like RJ pointed out, I mean, these guys are carrying, they've got to be calm because you're not going to see the other half of the story. Now, yeah, the definition of assault is there, but you know what? Think about how they're outnumbered, right? You've got like a whole line of cops. Yes, they've got water cannons and they've got tear gas and all that, but it's not rubber bullets, but it's probably not going to break up the mob that much where these mob.
Oh yeah, but I think
retaliate.
it would, because if you ever done, oh yeah, I'm sure you haven't. You do training, specialized training for riot control.
No,
I've done that. Oh yeah, you can break up a mob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
really?
because the thing is, there are 90% of those people are talkers. They don't want,
and I think
they
that's
don't
what the
want
cops
to push
know.
back. They don't want to get fucked up.
And
And
I
so
think that's what the cops know.
the minute things escalate, they're
Mhm.
bolting, they're running. So if
All
you've
bark,
got
no
a
bite.
real, yeah, if you've got a real riot controlled team, they'll break up a mob.
I think that's what cops know, is that half these guys are just yelling, right? Or getting in their face. And if
Yeah,
that's all you're
but
doing,
there should be repercussions. Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that
yeah,
they I would love to see them beat the fuck out of them, but I know that's not feasible. What I'm saying is there really should be repercussions. The other thing is, even though this is an open carry state in Michigan, and all these people are walking on the Capitol with the guns or whatever, I guarantee you that there's going to be a percentage of those people that are not legally carrying. That's
how,
the other thing that I have an issue with. Is,
how,
yeah, it's one thing to say that we can, but there's going to be people that break the law that are out there legally carrying because they know no one's going to stop them and say, hey, does this person have a prior felony? Does this person have this? Does this person have that? So they're just blending in with the crowd. That's why it's dangerous.
I was wondering if I needed a license to carry, and I can open carry. But
Well, you have to be able to legally purchase a firearm. If you're able to legally purchase a firearm, then you're allowed to open carry.
yeah, but if I put it in my vehicle, then that's considered a concealed.
It's concealed.
We just reviewed this
You just disassemble.
yesterday.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. You have to be 21 to get a license to purchase a handgun. However, 18 years of age to open carry without a CPL. So, if, let's say, my father purchased me a Desert Eagle 50 caliber, let's just throw that out there. If he were to pass that down to me legally, I would be able to open carry that without a CPL.
However, no,
No, because you can't.
No.
You have to be able to, in order for you to open carry at that age, you still can't legally open carry a pistol. You could transport it to go to a range to shoot, or you could transport, but again, you'd have to store the ammo in a different section from where your gun is, and the gun would have to be locked.
And the only way you'd be able to do that is if that was grandfathered in before you were, let's say you were 19 and they just switched that law to 21, you would still, and you legally own that gun when you were 18. It's called the grandfather law. Now, basically, you had it, but they changed the law to 21 and you're 19. But, well, at least I won't be getting.
I think it's also important to state that this is an idiot podcast, so don't listen to us for legal advice. Thank you.
No, please don't.
Yeah, don't.
No.
Did I tell you though, Ron, that I do know an attorney and she has agreed to be on our podcast as soon as this is all over?
Really?
So we will get to
That's
ask
awesome.
her all kinds of dumb legal questions that we've always wondered about.
Oh man, you know what? I'm still holding out for Kevin Smith and Jack Black.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not going to happen.
All right. And Jason Mewes, by the way, I'd love to get him. By the way, he is a hero of mine. Jason Mewes.
Set the bar low. You said
Why?
Barlow.
Do you know who Jason Mewes is?
Yes, of course. That's
All
Jay.
right. Yeah, you're right. But there's a specific reason why I want him on there.
Is this
So-
recovered addict?
Yeah, actually, that's it.
Why is that why? Okay. All
Because
right.
he said he wanted to hold himself accountable. So he says, why not just do a podcast and put himself out there? So I thought that was cool. So I've got this entire concept of challenging the Ronz and to see if he could do something. Hey. So this is your first podcast, RJ. What'd you think?
You guys are crazy, and I like it.
We try. If we could just get Ron to get into some more social situations, it would be even better.
We got the crazy middle-aged man. We got the senile old man. We got the confused teen. I think this is a great mixture.
I
That's
don't
great.
think John's that old.
Well, I'd like to say that I'm not middle-aged yet because I plan on living to about 100. So technically, I'm not middle-aged, but I am 47. So I'm a little bit up there.
You are. And today, you did a shout out for coffee today. I like that.
I did a shout out for coffee today. Should I mention that again?
Yeah.
It's
let's do
Carrie's
that.
Carrie's Scars and Stripes Coffee's Facebook page. So Carrie's Scars and Stripes. You can go to https://coffee/.fevers. And you can find her on Instagram at Carrie's_brew. That's BREW.
The
And
more
what
you
did we learn
mention it, the more
today?
coffee I want.
And what did we learn today on this podcast?
That we got to get Ronz out there more so that he can have awkward social situations because I would not have even approached that person.
You know what? I probably wouldn't either if I had not been who I am.
And that's why we don't want you to change.
I try not to change too much, but
Because
you know
if you change, the podcast is just going to be boring, and we don't want that to happen.
no, we don't. We just want it to be what it is, just for you guys.
And I'll keep working on my music.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
please do, so that we can feature some of that and put it on our website.
It's
And
already
get it.
ready, so go right ahead.
Oh, perfect. Well, that would be up to your father then. He's got to get on it. He's
Oh,
got to get his shit.
okay. All right.
All right. Well, great.
Just tell me where to put it. I need
No,
a link
don't tell
for
him where to
that.
put it. Don't tell him where to put it. Just
Oh,
let
okay.
it play.
Sounds good.
Tell him where to put it. That might be awkward.
I
All
like
right.
that.
Well, then for me then, I'm going to say adios, mooch fuckos.
All right. See ya. RJ, on you.
Later.
We're trying.